welcome to the Monday evening.
Love ball like I do. After Dark, it's a must listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fixed.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark on this Thursday night, March the 6th, 2025. Who would have thought that back on November the 6th, we would have woken up and said, Michigan State's going to end up as the outright Big Ten regular season champions. Unranked in the preseason, picked 5th in the league, and they're our top story tonight. The 8th-ranked Spartans feels light when you look at the fact that they're 25-5 and led by a Hall of Famer. They outscore Iowa in the second half 61 to 47. And they win it 91-84 over the Hawkeyes. Randolph Childress is here. Mike LaTulip is here. Randolph Childress, I'm going to start with you. Tom Izzo, year 30. Heading into the year, we were not talking about the Spartans being a top 10, top 15 caliber team. We were wondering, would that NCAA tournament streak continue? Well, you knew it would, but how about this, man? This is... Put this in perspective from your standpoint of the Spartans doing this.
Fanta, let's go back to the Champions Classic. We were there, and we both left thinking, is this the same Michigan State team that's going to struggle to shoot the basketball, it's going to struggle to score, and it's going to be a similar year than it was last year? They squeak into the tournament, a high seed. And with Tom Izzo win a game or two, we knew it was possible with him. What we didn't see is them possibly coming in as a 2 seed, as high as a 2 seed this year. It's been lamented all year what they've done, just playing much faster in transition. They always defend it, but they showed in the second half what they're capable of when they're making shots. And that's just the question mark, and I think they're going to have to overcome someone committing to them playing a zone. I would try to, that's the way I would play them and force them to try to make shots. They obviously came out in the second half, and once they started making shots, they hit 5 of their first 10 threes. At that point, it was over. They blew the game open at that point. So I'm a big Izzo fan. I've said that. He's my favorite. I can't say I'm totally surprised, but I am a little bit surprised from what we saw at the Champions Classic, because we were sitting there going, man, I'm about to fall asleep. They can't shoot. They can't make shots. And they've done that this year. They played a little faster, so they hadn't had to sit around, but they've lost a lot. They developed those guys from within. Richardson just stepped up and became the guy, a closer for those guys, man. They got depth, they got bodies, they got size. I like Michigan State. They're a team you're not going to want to play. I don't care when you see them in the NCAA tournament.
Michael, how amazing is this?
It's pretty amazing because I think in the offseason, it's not like they went crazy in the portal, right? Or just tried to overhaul things. And he said that. I mean, at the end of the year last year, he stood in that hallway and he said, I don't want to have this feeling again, and we're going to get back to where we were. And that didn't mean that he just overhauled things. That he stuck to his guns and bet on continuity. And if you look around college basketball, I'm surprised this happened for Michigan State, for sure. But we shouldn't be surprised because outside of Duke being the outlier, look at Houston's returners. And they're going to win the Big 12. Look at Auburn's returners, and they're going to win, the SEC. Like there's a bet on continuity here, and that's what Michigan State's done. And in this game tonight, I thought this game was emblematic of just the mettle and the grit that they've had really all year. I think the first almost 30 minutes of this game, Iowa was a tougher team. Iowa owned the paint. Iowa was getting them on the glass, like all the things that has made Michigan State this year, Iowa was doing in this game. And the second that game got chippy, when it was 53-46, it was a Michigan State game. And Trey Holloman's barking, Izzo's going nuclear on the sidelines, and that thing opened up. They had a 35-6 run in that second half, and they refused to get screened. And RCU talked about it. They stepped in confidently. They knocked down shots, but getting the stops, too, allowed them to use their pace, get out in transition, get Coe and Carr going. And then just the blend, the mixture they had, I thought they settled a little bit in the first half. Second half, it was like, great, we'll take the threes if we have them. But the openness that we're shooting these threes with, we can now kind of rework our brain to say this openness is also a driving lane. And they tried to get downhill and get to the free throw line. So it's pretty fitting they won the outright championship in the fashion they did tonight. And I just love to see guys like Izzo. We see it with Pitino in the Big East too, just guys that have that kind of old school grit and style and still get on guys when you're up 10, down 10, up 20, down 20. That's the stuff I love about it, man. Izzo's been tremendous this year. I think he should be in the Coach of the Year conversation.
Randolph, where would you put Tom? I mean, first of the guys still doing it actively and all time.
Again, you can call me biased. I've always, even when they've, the last couple of years, when everybody been saying he's lost a little bit of fastball, I've said this, and I've said this. He's been my favorite. He's a guy that I have looked at and said, man, I wish I could have. I wouldn't have mind playing for Tom Izzo. I just understand that. I get it. I wouldn't have a problem with the way he communicates with his players. That wouldn't bother me. But what my biggest jump, like I said to you about the team, it isn't him because, again, I'm biased toward him. He's been my favorite of all the coaches, new and old, right now. It's just when we watch this team in Champions Classic, literally we were sitting there, we're making runs to get coffee. Like, we're like, man, these guys can't shoot again. This is going to be another. They're shooting 3 of 20, 2 of 20s. This is no different than they were a year ago. And to see where they're on now, defensively, they just look better. Playing with pace. They have been the most consistent team, one of the most consistent teams in the country, and definitely the most consistent team in the Big Ten. And I thought they would sleepwalk in the first half, talking like, all right, well, they're not ready to play. This thing is going to go down to Michigan State, which would be awesome if they were playing for it. And then Michigan State stepped out the second half, took care of business, and reminded everybody, like, no, we're different. We're the most complete team in the Big Ten. And they stepped up and showed it defensively, toughness, everything we talked about. And it's why they're, next, Sunday's game doesn't matter.
Mike, now I got to ask the question because it's like Michigan State is 25-5. And it feels like other times in Tom Izzo's career, if they had that type of a record in a league that's going to send as many teams as the Big Ten can send to the NCAA tournament, it doesn't feel like people believe, and I'm not saying they're on the level of an Auburn, Duke, or a Houston, but I also am looking at him, Mike, and I'm thinking to myself, why not? Why can't they be on the Riverwalk? Why can't they be in San Antonio? What say you?
They certainly can. I think the issue is that when you start the season unranked, when you're picked, whatever they were, 6th maybe in the league, 6th, 7th, fifth. Not really looked at as like a real contender in the league. A lot of talk about Purdue and Indiana and Illinois and kind of UCLA because they were new and like the new shiny toy in the Big Ten. And then they even get into conference play and they go 9-0, and all the talk was about their schedule. Well, it's their schedule, right. and there's a reason why that they're 9-0 and they've played the 17th. Out of 18 teams, the 17th easiest, or I guess the 17th hardest schedule out of all the Big Ten teams. And then the gauntlet that they went through leading up to this Iowa game, when you look at Illinois, home Purdue, at Michigan, at Maryland, home Wisconsin, that's about as big of a gauntlet. Outside of maybe Bama, what Bama's been going through the last week or two, that's about as big of a gauntlet as you can have. And they answer the bell. And then you think the one time that they'll exhale is Iowa. And they kind of did there in that first half, and then they just showed you exactly what we've been seeing all season. So, yeah, the reason why they're so consistent is because they bring their toughness, their defense, and their rebounding to every single game. And that's stuff that you can bring every single game. They don't have to rely on jump shots. If they go in, great. They'll probably run you out of the gym. But if they don't, they can still win games in that way. And I think that just gives you that gives you just a certain confidence, I think, as a group. And they play a lot of guys, they play fast. And, it's the beauty of it too, is like, no matter what personnel grouping is in there, it all looks the same. Like everybody plays the same way. And that bodes well for continuity and for style.
It does look the same, but where I think it looks different is you're not sitting around wondering, all right, they got to give the ball to Walker and hoping he's making a shot. Other than that, they got no chance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that.
Yeah.
That's where it looks different to me. Like this is a deep team that is interchangeable parts. He just needs 5 players, but he plays 10. And that's, I think, is their strength. If you're playing them and you're relying on a guy, they're gonna when you play against this Michigan State team in the tournament, they're gonna take away your strength. And they're gonna do it with depth and bodies. And now they're not relying on one guy. When Richardson is playing the way he's playing, I think it elevates him because he's just showing how talented and how good he is. But it seems to be that it's a different guy. A different guy will step up and do something great on the offensive end with Michigan State. So, again, we know they're going to defend. They're going to rebound the basketball. That's going to keep them in it. How far they go will be how far their offense can help them. But defensively and rebounding and controlling the tempo and pace of the game, they're going to do that no matter who they play. But if they're making shots, then look out.
Yeah. And what I'm saying from the standpoint of them, when I say it looks the same, it looks different than last year. I mean, like the pace is so much different. Obviously
Right.
Hogard moved on. Tyson Walker, it was very kind of like heliocentric, if you want to call it that, like especially late game. And when I say the same, I mean the 10 guys that they play, no matter what grouping of 5 you have in there, the style it's the exact same no matter who's in there. And,
I agree.
They get up and down and no matter if it's Fears that's being the engine, if Richardson's out or if Richardson's in, and like the trust that I think Izzo has in Richardson now, and we've seen it come along. This is a guy that we were sitting there going, hey, maybe that's a guy that should have a little bit more opportunity, to being like, this is like an all-league dude. This is like a second team all Big Ten type of guy, and a guy that can really shoulder the load. I mean, it's no surprise, just family he comes from, and he's been around ball, but it's been great to see it. And Izzo getting on him at the end of the game when he threw it up the court to Akins, and Akins went in for the dunk with 16 seconds left. He yelled at Akins in the huddle, but he yelled at Richardson too. Like, you need to hold the ball. Don't give it up. Like, we want the ball in your hands. And so I think that's just a lot of trust you see from Izzo to his freshman.
But you just sum it up. Tom Izzo's not afraid to tell his players what they need to hear. He's authentic. He will yell at them.
Right.
It comes from a place of love. And in a world where social media seems to capture everything, Tom Izzo doesn't give a damn. He's as good as any coach in the country. What he's done with this team is amazing, because if you had said November, Randolph, when we walked out of Atlanta at the Champions Classic, if you had told me, one, they'd win the Big Ten regular season, I would have said, okay, well, they must have done it defensively. No, they're good defensively. I would have never predicted they'd be winning. And I know Iowa's horrid on the defensive end. But even that Michigan State team, then I wouldn't have said 91 points against anybody.
If you said they were going to win it, Fanta, in Atlanta, I would have gave you a cup until, like, I'm drug testing you, Fanta. Go pee in this cup right now. That's what I would have told you if you had said that. We remember they were horrible offensively.
Horrible.
Oh, they were so bad.
They couldn't make a single shot. They had point-blank looks. And that night, because it was Kansas didn't play very well either. But that night, I'm like, well, Kansas, like, they'll still be all right once they start hitting threes. Guess what? They never figured it out. Michigan State figured it out. Kansas really has never figured their problems out. All right, let's move on. Champ Week, it's upon us. Shout out to some of the mid-major leagues. Patriot League, we got semifinals on Sunday. It's going to be Colgate and American, as well as Navy and Bucknell. We will hand out a bid on Sunday. Lipscomb and North Alabama, after a thrilling game earlier tonight between Lipscomb and Queens. Lipscomb was able to get past them, so it's North Alabama and Lipscomb Sunday afternoon. That'll be a really fun one. But during Champ Week, guys, there's a whole slew of storylines across these high major leagues. Mike LaTulip, what is the Champ Week storyline that you are most excited for?
Well, I think we've seen, at the high major level at least, we've seen so much dominance in conference from Auburn, from Duke, from Houston. And can that be sustained in the conference tournament? And then the flip side of that is who picks them off if they don't, right? Because that for whatever team it may be, and maybe not for like a Florida. Florida picks off Auburn because they're on the 1 seed on the 1 line anyways. But that's like a seed line move for anybody that does pick those teams off. And I just look back and you look at history. Let's look at the last 10 national champions. If I were to ask you, I'll pose the question. The last 10 national champions, how many of those national champions won their conference tournament going in the NCAA tournament? What would you guess? Out of 10.
Not many. I'd say
UConn did last year.
I'd say 3 or 4.
3. Yeah. 3 out of 10 have won it. And even beyond that, you look at like each conference, and I looked at like
name
the
all
last
3 of them
power.
too.
Go ahead.
Well, I can name 2 of them. I can name UConn and Villanova 2018. Who was the other one? Do you know?
Yeah, it was Kansas 2022.
How about that?
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I'm saying. Like, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was saying this to someone today at another school. I won't mention now, but we were having this conversation. I remember, and I draw on my experience, and I've said this to someone today. This is where Michigan State is built, where I don't think it'll affect them as much for the NCAA tournament because they're 10 guys. When you playing guys 37 and 38 minutes, and we're talking about those key players that you have to have on the floor, to play 3 or 4 games back to back to back, and then get into the NCAA tournament, and you essentially have you have 2 days off, and then you're going somewhere, you're traveling, and then you're getting ready for your game on Thursday. You really only have 3 games off. After playing 3 or 4 straight games, it's draining. You're exhausted. And I think sometimes some teams probably need to make a decision. If you're clearly in the field, do I want to run my guys out there for that? And risk just not even injury, just fatigue. It is exhausting. You get sick. You get all these things that's happening to you because you're playing so many minutes and you're trying to win this conference tournament. But it can cost you in the end because some guys are completely worn out by the time it gets to that point, and just not having a day or two. You got to get your prepping for the NCAA tournament. And those days, those games come fast. That second round game comes so fast. There's not a ton of prep. There's not a ton of rest.
Mm-hmm.
I think that week coming into champ week, you have to be careful of how you manage that, particularly when you got a legitimate chance to cut down nets.
Yeah,
and so many injuries, right? Like talk about even the injuries of Big 12 teams. Like Iowa State's a team that I was really high on, but they've been battling injuries. Like if I'm battling injuries coming into this, I just don't risk it. Like it's like Houston. When Houston plays as hard as they play to win the Big 12, is it worth it?
Yeah. Well, then the other thing too, it's such a. Go ahead, Fanta.
Well, I was going to say that the thing that here's my biggest storyline heading into Champ Week. Last year we saw a historic number of bid stealers. I don't think that's going to be the last that we've seen of that, because in the portal era and where NIL's crazed, where off season is utter chaos, some teams are just playing totally different basketball now than they were in November and December. Some teams that are desperate to get in. Mountain West, Colorado State. They're not a tournament team for an at-large. Could they win the Mountain West tournament? Hell yeah, they could. They absolutely can. How about the WCC? Will it beat Gonzaga and St. Mary's in the final? Will it? Gonzaga's lost some close games along the way. I mean, could they get picked off in the semis? We'll see.
A-10.
I don't know.
The
American. We don't know if
and
the A-10. Memphis. I mean, somebody else could win the American.
I'm more likely to bet the field, to your point, Fanta. To your point, I'm more likely to bet the field. When I said this, and I had Memphis a week or so ago, I said the same thing. Memphis wins it. Memphis wins the league right. They've done a great job, had a hell of a year. But if I had to bet, I would take the field, someone stealing a bid and winning the American over Memphis. And it's not an indictment against them. I just think the odds of that. VCU is in the field. I take the field over VCU, and that's going to be a bid stealer. No one else in that league is going to win, is getting in the NCAA tournament. So those are 2 teams, let alone, like you said, the WCC. We're going to have minimum probably 3 or 4 teams. I think it'll be minimum 4. Minimum 4. Even though we had 5 last year, and that's a record. I think we'll have a minimum of 4 of those. I'd be shocked if, like you said, if just in the A10 in America.
How about the Missouri Valley? How about the Big West?
Yes. Yes.
UC San Diego, I think, deserves an at-large. So if they lose the championship game, that could be a 2-bid league. I mean, that the other thing is this. A lot of fans get mad at us during Champ Week when we've used the phrase. I've used this and I've rethought it. I've said, don't tell me that this team has to win their conference. This team having an at-large bid wrapped up means that sometimes it's better if you lose earlier in the conference tournament. A lot of coaches have been like, either we lose the first game or we win the championship. Because once I'm in it, I want to win the conference tournament. Don't tell me. That exists in locker rooms. It exists. I'm all for the intensity and passion of Champ Week. We love it. But, don't make it an indictment on VCU if they don't win the A10. They still could win 2 tournament games. They're just not as desperate. The more desperate team is going to probably win.
Yeah. No, I mean, even look at, I went back and looked at some stuff with, you look at the Power 5 conferences, obviously prior to this year going to 4, and I just looked at the last 3 years. So, you got Big 10, ACC, Pac-12, Big 12, SEC. Okay, so I'm like, okay, out of those 15 conference title winners, conference tournament winners, how did they fare in the tournament over the last 3 years, those 5 conferences? 7 of the 15, so less than half, made it to the second weekend. They either lost in the first round or the second round. 5 of the 15 lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And then the other 3 were bounced in the second round, and then 7. The only one in the last 3 years to obviously run the table was Kansas in 22. But yeah, man, it's interesting because again, being a part of those tournaments, it's such an afterthought because when you go through the season, no one sits there with Houston and, in the middle of the season is like, man, this is a Big 12 tournament title winning team. It's just, you talk about, we're going to win the regular season or we're going to make a deep run in March. So there's a different psychology to it too, where it's just not as.
But it also, where it matters, guys, and winning it, fans, before you go, it matters because of where you are in your program. Some teams have won it. They've been there, done that. Their aspirations is championship. When you're taking over a program, it's a banner, and it's like, hey, it's accomplishments to acknowledge what you've done. I think that's the difference. We have a few programs that it would be major for them if they would have won another conference tournament. It's not for Tom Izzo, right? It's not for Bill Self. Those coaches are trying to win. They're trying to hang the ultimate banner, the championship. Some of these other ones, it's an accomplishment if they just win their conference tournament. And, and I think that's a big deal. I'm sorry, Fanta, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you guys, Mike first, who could be this year's NC State?
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think there's going to be an NC State this year. And when I say NC State, we got to think about the actual criteria here because let's just break it down, okay? If there was one, okay, NC State last year, really on the wrong side of the bubble. I mean, they didn't really have a chance of getting in the NCAA tournament unless they won that conference tournament, okay? Couple guys in that backcourt that could go, with Horn and Morcell and Taylor. You got a big that could create advantages due to his skill and size, and DJ Burns. And you had a coach that was pretty much left for dead unless he won and had a miraculous March to extend his shelf life. All those things I just mentioned. A couple guys that could go in the backcourt, a matchup problem on the, I don't even say the low post because he can step out. And then the coach, does that not sound like the Villanova Wildcats?
Yes, it does. It does, but they've been so rough in close games, but they are a candidate heading into New York.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the 6th seed. So it's going to be Seton Hall. And then it's going to be Connecticut, who they've already beaten. And then it's going to be either, if you were to get that far, it'd be Creighton, who you should have beaten. I mean, it's there. Can I give you
I mean, think
real
about like
curveball?
Wooga, you got Longino, you got obviously Dixon. It's kind of scary how similar it is. But again, it's unlikely. But the path isn't crazy for them.
No, it's not. It makes sense when you say it because hell, no one thought NC State was going to do it a year ago. So
Yeah, it would have been crazy to
that
say NC State at this time last year.
would have been
Yeah,
ridiculous to say NC State last year.
yeah.
Who you got, Phantom?
I think it's going to come from the ACC again. If Duke were ever to just somehow fall, the ACC's got as much of a shot because criteria. I don't think they will, but criteria wise, because the ACC's got teams that just have either failed for one reason or another, and so they're on the outside looking in. But could they stack together a week that out of nowhere? Maybe. So I guess I'm looking at like an SMU, a Wake. A team that has played really well the last month, if you look in terms of winning games and finding ways to win, is Georgia Tech. Over the last month, they've played much better basketball. They've won like 6 or 7. The point is, you don't frickin' know. That's why we live for the week. It's basketball. It's a make or miss game.
This
You
exercise
Stanford
only works
too.
if it's crazy. This exercise
Right.
only
Stanford
works if what you're saying is crazy. Yes.
Maxime Reynaud and Stanford, don't sleep on them either. We got a break coming up next. A really fun history game put together by our own Dagan Hughes.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light.
All right, Field of 68 after dark. We're having some fun in the breaks. We're talking about Pitt Steelers. RC might be calling the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. You don't know this time of year. That's what makes it so much fun. This is what makes it extra fun too. Our Dagan Hughes did his homework earlier today, and he used the historical evidence of Bart Torvik, and he put together a collection of teams that are compared to past teams with their end results. It's our job to now guess the teams. So play along at home with us here. Dagan, let's start it out here with our first team. Let's get it rolling here. So this team is compared to 2011 Duke, 2023 Houston, 2011 Ohio State, Arizona from 3 years back, and UCLA 2 years ago in 2023. That UCLA team, they made it to the Sweet 16 in Vegas. They had Jaime Jaquez in his last year, and they ended up bowing out to Gonzaga. So, okay, what team has these similar resumes? Michael LaTulip, any sort of a guess?
Oh, jeez.
I'm glad he went to you first.
Yeah, seriously. All right. I'll throw it out there. I'll take a stab. I'll say Texas Tech.
Okay, that 2011 Duke team: Nolan Smith, Kyle Singler, Seth Curry, Kyrie.
Year after the title, yeah.
Man,
I was going to go SEC too. I was going to say maybe Tennessee. I don't. I'm guessing.
Okay, so You've guessed Texas. You guessed A&M or Tech?
A&M, and I
You
got
got Tech.
Tennessee.
Tech.
He's
Tech.
got Texas Tech, right? Tech.
Yeah.
You've
Tech.
got Tennessee. I'm actually, I think we might be twisted up here. I'm going to go Michigan State. Let's see. Who is it?
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's Duke. No way.
See, I was thinking what tipped me off was I was thinking of a high seed. I didn't think Duke. I was thinking someone around the 1 line or the 2 line because a lot of those teams were ranked that high. I just if I needed more clues to get more of it, but just judging off of where those teams were seated made me pick like who's right on that 1 line that could fall right there. So I don't know. I
Damn.
Do you remember the
yeah.
WWE pay-per-view when The Undertaker comes out and the guy's in the stands and he's like,
I need a freeze
that
frame
was
of
just-
that right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I am stunned right now. But wait, but so obviously the analytics.
Is it stunning though?
but-
Because they don't play a ton of ranked teams in the ACC. Like it's that I don't think they've had a chance resume wise. I mean, I saw like a bunch of Auburn fans or people were tweeting today about how they haven't beaten a ranked team in however long, and it's just they just having a lot of cracks at it in the ACC. So it's stunning, but it also in a way kind of makes sense.
It's the concern you got to have for those guys has got to be how are they going to respond in a close game, in a nip and tuck game is going back and forth because they have been dominant, right? And then the only question mark you had of them all year long was who they're going to put the ball in their hands that's going to be able to create and make plays. We've been on that point guard talk all year. They've overcome it because defensively they're elite. And then they figured out a way to get the ball inside, to attack matchups with Cooper Flag, and they're just a great shooting team. So I understand it. I don't know. I don't see that happening because I just think that the difference is I think this is an elite Duke defensive team. That's why I think they're better. They just what they can do defensively and how they can attack you defensively is just different than I think than teams that we've seen in year to years. And if you took and one thing I will say, we talk about the SEC, the ACC. You put this Duke team in the SEC, and they are challenging for the title.
Absolutely,
they're right there. They're not middle of the pack. So,
all right, let's do game 2. I need to see another one. Come on, this game rock. Okay, what team has these similar resumes? All right, so it's 2023 UConn, 2017 Florida Elite Eight. That team was, I believe, at Chris Chioza, game winner over Wisconsin, I want to say. 2024 Duke Elite Eight. 2019 Texas Tech, reached the title game. 2019 Purdue Elite Eight. This is Auburn. It's got to be Auburn.
It's got to be Auburn. There's no way it's anybody else. That's the only team. You gave this one away as soon as you put UConn 2 years ago. It's Auburn.
It's Auburn. Go ahead. Show the team. Show the team.
God!
Oh my God.
Come on. One off. Just say Texas Tech again. God damn it.
Wow.
Jeez, man.
I don't like this game.
I need to use the bathroom. I need to use the bathroom.
This is a nightmare.
What, you got a porta potty next to the
The glass
I am
is
shocked right now.
gone.
Yeah,
I knew that this game. I knew that our producer was excited because he called us like early in the day and he said, "I got
Yeah, he
this game."
did. When he started
yeah,
making individual calls,
It's
he
back.
went outside the group.
Megan is
chat,
in
like,
his
he had
bag.
something. Yeah, he got us on this one.
No, it's really too bad that like
We got to get one.
Dagan, you got to play. Goodman has to play this game. He has to. I think he would go winless in it. Okay, but let's quickly here. JT Toppin, Darion Williams, Chance McMillan. They've got a lot of scoring options. They've got length defensively. RC, you buying Texas Tech's title upside?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think you have to. The biggest thing with them is like everyone else that that have this opportunity is health. That's the only thing I think that stops them from having an opportunity to make a run. When they get in it, once you get past, you get to the next weekend, you get through the Sweet 16, then, you're going to play someone pretty good. Matchups will matter. But Texas Tech is a team that I could very well see making a run.
Yeah, I think they've shown elite peaks on both ends. And you talk about Toppin. Right. Toppin's a guy we were filling out our field of 68 All-Americans, and it was really hard for me to keep him off that that second team. And he's been that good this year. And the thing I love about them too is we saw it in the Houston game when they went to the Fertitta Center, is like, they play with really solid pace. They can spread you out, they can shoot it. But I love the fact that they have movement shooters and they got guys who are comfortable making shots off the bounce, because when it comes down to it during the season or during the NCAA tournament, like, you're going to have guys that step up and can make shots off the bounce, and they can do that. So I buy Texas Tech making a run like that. That wouldn't be shocking.
I do too, because they can answer every question offensively. It's a top 10 offensive efficiency team. They can shoot threes. They've always been able to. I mean, Grant McCaslin, rarely do you say that his offense is better than his defense, because typically they shut teams down offensively. Like, typically they're a lockdown team that just puts you in the blender. So that's what's different here. All right, game 3. Here we go.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Oh my God. I mean, this is like, so it's 2012 Georgetown, round of 32. Was that Dunk City? Like, would that be right?
No, it was the year after. Year after was Dunk City.
The year after that.
Yeah.
What's that? 2020. Okay, 2023 Baylor.
Wait a minute. Is that 2017 Florida State?
2024 Baylor.
Is that like Jonathan Isaac? I mean,
yeah.
Baylor.
Man, I'm really confused. I mean, I'm really twirled up right now. It's a top 5 seed and above here.
Because it said round of 32, it's got to be one of the top 2 seeds. Like, you're not putting round of 32 and then putting like Michigan on there, because you'd be like, oh, well, this is Dagan's going for the shock factor, so it's got to be one of the top 2 seeds. I'll go.
Okay.
Well, shoot, I'll go Tennessee on this one.
All right, I'm going to go with St. John's.
I'm
going to go with St. John's.
I'm going to go Alabama.
Okay, if it's Auburn, I resign. So I'm just going to put it out there right now.
Oh, okay.
All right, it's Kentucky. Now, see, I could see this.
Yeah.
And this is where, and here's the reason, Mike. If they face a team that locks you down defensively and can also make shots on the offensive end of the floor, like if Kentucky cannot, to me, beat a team that plays complementary basketball and guards at a high level, because Kentucky can't answer the bell on the defensive end of the floor.
For that amount of games, I don't think they can. Right. Like, they probably can for, a couple games or 2 games, but eventually that dam is going to break. And look, like, the Jackson Robinson absence is huge. I mean, that's big in a lot of ways. RC, you've mentioned health multiple times. I mean, if you want to talk about a team in health, like, this has been a team that's kind of been going through it. And so I can definitely see that. Like, they Otega Owe would have to be kind of otherworldly, like he's tried to be the last few weeks, if they're going to make a ton of noise in the NCAA tournament. But, they've hung around. I mean, despite being where they're at in the SEC and losing whatever it is, 8 SEC games. I mean, they've been kind of sitting on that 3 line, it feels like, for forever. So they're going to have a chance, in the first couple games to play a lower seed and try to make a second weekend. But it's going to be tough to string, I think, 2, 3, 4, 5 games together with, what we've seen defensively.
Hey, all I'm asking is we got to work together to get one of these damn things. I don't.
For the love of God. For the love of God.
I can't, because if Rob or Jeff do this game and they guess one, I'm sick. I may turn in my resignation papers to the field of 68 at that point if they get.
How many do we have left?
Wait, we have 3 left? We have two left.
I
By
thought it
the
was
way-
3. I
by
thought
the
we
way,
had 3. I thought we had 6.
I thought we had 6.
Oh, you trying to cheat? That's the most
Randolph-
cheating whole
Randolph.
crap I've ever seen.
Well, you wouldn't be able to play that game with them because they will not be in the NCAA tournament. Randolph, we are doing a who he played for at the Final Four, and it's going to be the funniest thing because I don't know if I. All right, here we go. 2011 North Carolina Elite 8, 2021 USC Elite 8, Brad Stevens and Gordon Hayward and Butler in 2010 title game. 2023 San Diego State with Lamont Butler and company title game. And then 2014 San Diego State Sweet 16. At first glance, I'm thinking no. I kind of thought like St. John's, Houston, or Tennessee. What are you thinking?
A&M. Texas A&M.
Okay, tell me why, briefly.
I look at San Diego State. I look at teams that can defend and get after it on the glass.
I don't think you're right because he just said in the background he doesn't know. So
Clemson.
Clemson. I'm going to go. What's that?
They've been.
I'm going to go.
So
with,
one of us has said them.
I'm going.
Tennessee.
St. John's. It's St. John's. It's St. John's.
It's Auburn. It's Auburn. It's Auburn.
Tennessee. Yeah, let's go.
There you go.
Yes.
See,
Fanta. Yes.
The game got clutch. Put the camera back on here now. That's great.
Oh my God.
The game got clutch, and that's it. That's it right there. Randolph drew a play. Yeah.
We went to Hey, we needed a bucket. I went to my man Fanta. That's all. That's just this. I'm running the ISO. I designed the ISO for Fanta right here. We clear it out the side for my man Fanta.
Right, I'm telling you what, we were not getting stumped for a fourth straight.
There you go.
That was all right. But you know what? They can. Like St. John's can get there because they're built to win. They never change how they play defensively and how they play on the glass, regardless of how bad things could be on the offensive end. Randolph, that's my favorite trait about them. They never want to stop shooting. And Rick Pitino has preached that to them. Like, don't stop. Don't stop shooting. Because he's like, I don't want your confidence to get affected by how you defend. If you miss shots, you miss shots. Just keep getting stops. They're the epitome of that. They never change their level of intensity. And Randolph, they don't have 2 or 3 good defenders. All 5 guys are in lockdown mode. They're so together on that end.
I think there's a number of teams that they fall in the mix with that. Would you take St. John over Tennessee? Would you take St. John over Houston, over a healthy Texas Tech? Over Iowa State? There's a bunch of teams that I think are led Duke, like they're led defensively. And do you see St. John's turning those guys over? I just worry about teams like I think they'll be a tough out. Don't get me wrong, but a deep run. I didn't think St. John because I was just imagining making a run that deep when we saw some of the teams. And I don't know if we can rely on them offensively. I get what you're saying, but there's a lot of teams that I think that fit their same mold defensively, but they're just a little bit better on the offensive end of the floor is my concern for St. John. But I do think they'll make it through the first week.
We got one more. Let's do it here. We got one more. Here we go. We got
you guys. So I'm gonna hop on here. I did lie to you guys. This is a top 6 seed, so that will give you a little bit of a hint.
Oh boy, he's gonna give us a hint here. That really helps us.
Okay.
Here we go. 2014 UCLA, and then the 2019 Auburn team that made it all the way to the Final Four. Yeah. 2019 Purdue team that made the Elite 8. What was that? Was that
Carson Edwards?
Was that Carson Edwards and that whole
lost
crew?
to Virginia, right?
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, lost to Virginia. Yeah.
Heartbreaking loss for them. 2013
Clark,
Syracuse before. Man. I mean, 2012-13 Syracuse was like Michael Carter Williams, Rakeem Christmas, Jeremy Grant. All right.
Trevor
17
Cooney.
Florida's been compared twice in this. Okay. Let's talk about it here. What do we think? Who do we think?
So, okay. So we said top 6 seed. Are we thinking it's a 6?
Thinking
It's
it's
got to
probably
be
a 6.
somebody. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone can't hear us. He's got us guessing because he's talking to us in the chat.
yeah. I'm trying to think here. I wonder. For a second, I thought, what if it's Memphis?
That's
like I did.
Yeah, I'm between Memphis and Maryland.
I'm going to go with Memphis, and I'm going to hope I get 2 tonight.
RC, what do you think?
He's being real quiet in the background. Go ahead, show the team.
Louisville. All right.
Let's go.
Okay, good win, Michael. That's a good win. I was going to go. Wow. Well, okay, LaTulip, do some cooking here. Why could Maryland do it?
I think they got a chance to make it as far, I guess, further than any Big Ten team. I've been saying that for weeks. I think they got, and again, like I honestly don't want to hear about the whole conference tournament maybe, but like once you get in the NCAA tournament, they got their depth isn't great, but they're starting 5. Say it, Fanta. Who is their starting 5? What's their
Crab
name?
5, baby. The Crab 5.
The
Crab 5 is outstanding. I mean, you want some fresh crab meat and some butter, and you're going to have a great meal down there in College Park. It's spring break there all the time. That place is special. They're playing that starting 5 is so balanced. There's no drop off between those guys. You got Gillespie, you've got Rice, you've got Miguel. I love Selden Miguel. You can tell Kevin Willard loves him too. But Mike, they got a unicorn in Derek Queen, and he plays alongside the wall in Reese.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Derek Queen's vaulted himself into like first team All Big Ten. Like when you look, that team's going to be 7 to 8 guys, like it is for some reason now. But if you had it as 5 guys, like he would potentially knock Danny Wolf off the first team All Big Ten. He's been that good recently. They went head to head the other night. But I just, their mixture of being able to really command the paint defensively. When Queen and Reese are on the floor at the same time, they're so tough on the interior, and then the way they spread you out. I mean, Miguel is capable of hitting 5+ threes in a game. Gillespie, same thing. Rice, same thing. And these are all guys that, like, people question Gillespie coming from Belmont because he was a little bit thin. But even at Belmont, that dude finished at like 72% around the rim and in the paint. And so, I'm bullish on Maryland. I think they can make a deep run and go further than anybody in the Big Ten. I firmly believe that. Even if they end up as the 4 or 5 seed in the conference. We saw Michigan do that in 2013, be the 5 seed and make it all the way to the national title game.
We got a break. Up next, we have an exclusive with NCAA Vice President of Basketball, Dan Gavitt, who joined Jeff Goodman and Rob Douster earlier today. Could we see NCAA tournament expansion? What's that look like? The answer next.
Now is your chance to prove you're smarter than the field of 68. We're hosting a Survivor contest with our partner Splash Sports. There's a $25 entry fee, a 25 entry max in the contest, and more than 1,700 spots available, which means there's a $40,000 max prize for the winner. Survivor is the future of March Madness. Each day you pick a team to win. If they win, you advance. We'll also be running a free to enter bracket contest as well as a second chance Survivor in the Sweet 16. So prove you know more ball than the field of 68 on Splash Sports. Would you be surprised to find out that the Field of 68 is home to more than 35 podcasts? More than 25 team-specific podcasts that are hosted by the people that know what fans want the most. The Goodman and Humble podcast, the DTF podcast, the A10 Insider podcast, and the Mountain West podcast. But wait, there's even more. The Field of 68 will be launching the ACC Insider podcast this year. Subscribe to this channel and come along for the ride.
After Dark, thanks to our producer Dagan Hughes for putting together an outstanding Torvik Vision game. That was absolutely spectacular. Some of the most fun we've had on the show this year. Mike LaTulip, Randolph, Childress with us tonight. Earlier, Jeff Goodman and Rob Douster caught up with NCAA Vice President of Men's Basketball, Dan Gavitt. Dan, the son of the founder of the Big East, Dave Gavitt. And Dan was asked about NCAA tournament expansion. We're the Field of 68 for a reason. I think the majority of us, everybody's got a different feeling on it. The consensus is still, if it ain't broke, why are we really fixing it that much? And could we dilute things? That's at least our thought process. What does the head honcho have to say about this? Here's our exclusive.
Met with different media members in advance of this year's tournament. It's a natural question to ask, and happy to answer it. The simple answer is that there's not any new news. And as you know, the basketball committees have been talking about whether or not it makes sense to expand the championships for over a year. They're continuing to discuss, analyze, and consider whether or not that would be a recommendation that would go forward. There's nothing that's imminent. We're not expecting any development there, likely before the end of this year's championships. But we are, I would say the committees are giving it more consideration than at any time in my 10 plus years at the NCAA. As you both know, it's come up from time to time out of different coaching groups and the like, but this one's a little different because of the transformation committee and some conferences that put this proposal forward for all NCAA championships and basketball in particular. So we've been, pretty far along in the analysis of it, and have kind of narrowed the scope of consideration. But at the end of the day, there's no decision that's been made. There's no intended outcome here either. One of the potential outcomes certainly is still no expansion at all. And if there were to be a recommendation to expand, it would likely be very modest in nature.
Then I need you to be honest on this one, right? When you are evaluating whether or not to expand, how much does Jeff Goodman being firmly against it come into that consideration?
It's huge. It's huge.
Thanks.
We'll make sure that every committee member knows exactly where Jeff stands on the issue.
In all seriousness, though, you see the Field of 68 logo we got right here. If it does end up expanding, what sizes are you guys evaluating? Are we looking at 96? Are we looking at 72? Like what are the numbers that we're kind of
Rob wants to know what we need to grab now on Twitter, which handles we need to grab immediately.
Fair enough. How do you protect your IP, right?
Yep.
And it's been reported, because our president Charlie Bacon has actually said this publicly. It would be in the range of 72 to 76, an additional 4 or 8 teams, if at all. Again, with one potential outcome being no expansion at all. I do think it's pretty safe to say, Rob, that the 96 consideration, that started this way back over a year ago, and actually was a topic back when the latest CBS TNT deal was done, the first one in 2010, it is definitely not on the table. One of the things that's come out of all this analysis is that you would really have to change the whole calendar to accommodate that, either moving the Final Four dates back or starting the conference tournaments earlier, both of which are very challenging, if not impossible to do contractually, for the conferences or for the NCAA. So no consideration of anything more modest than that 72 to 76 is on the table at all right now.
So when you say that it's difficult to expand the calendar, I'm assuming that you heard Mark Pope say he wants to go to a 40-game schedule. I'm assuming that means it's probably unlikely.
Well, no, I guess I should clarify. I mean, it's changing the calendar in order to accommodate a much larger NCAA tournament. You'd need more dates in order to be able to do that. In expanding the regular season, I know Mark, spoke about 40. There's been some discussion, I think, around more modest expansion potentially of the regular season by adding an additional game or two. That wouldn't, require, well, the 40 would certainly require a change in when we start the season, right? I don't think anyone would say that we could get 40 games into a 22-week schedule right now. If it were only additional game or two, maybe you could accommodate that within the 22-week regular season schedule. But my point was more about the back end and how we would need to alter the back end of the calendar in order to accommodate a much larger NCAA tournament, which again is not on the table at all right now.
Because the CBS is not moving the Masters, more or less.
Yes.
I wish they would, because.
Well, I want to thank Dan Gavitt for joining us because and Dan is so great with joining the media and talking about this. He said nothing's imminent. He also said it's never been considered more than it is now. Randolph, what's your take?
No. Hell no. Don't expand it. I've been against it from the beginning. I think we have a hard enough time. Once you get past the excitement of the tournament, right? It's nothing like it, I think, when you talk about the excitement of it. But I don't want to see 76 or 70. Like the last 4 ends enough. For me personally, I just think it would be great if we just left it like it is.
Mike?
Yeah, everything's been more in every league. That's what scares me a little bit, right? We saw, the NFL added a playoff team in 2020, and the NBA went to the play-in, and college football playoff expanded from 4 to 12, and I just think like this is such a different volume of teams, and when you're adding to a tournament like this, and what's funny is conferences have moved to limiting the amount of teams that play in their conference tournament. And it's I think created more intrigue in the regular season because it's preserved that exclusivity of postseason play. And so look, like we've seen decisions be made for business reasons over the years, but at what point are you just straight up diluting one of the best products we have in all sports?
Quickly, guys, if we had to do it, I would all want it to be coming from a mid-major or lower major level of college basketball.
And that's not going to happen.
14, and that's not going to happen. That's the only way I would want to see it happen.
No, it's the greatest postseason in sports. Why would you alter it? It makes no sense to change it up. People love going to Disney. People love going to their favorite, summer vacation spot every single year that they've gone to with their family for years because it's tradition and because it's always been right. Why risk being wrong? The NCAA tournament should not expand. We're back with you tomorrow night on the Field 68 After Dark. Thanks so much for tuning in.
As teams are fighting to get off the bubble and into the Field of 68, I got a beverage for you that's been off the bubble since day one. Dad Water. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail unlike anything else on the market today. If you're tired of the same old beers and seltzers on game day, crack open something different. Dad Water is made with tequila, water, and natural flavors. Nothing artificial, no BS. It's 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, so if you're on a diet like me, you're good to go. Dad Water is also an Indiana brand. College Hoops is in its DNA, and they want you to enjoy a great lineup of products all tournament long. Dad Water is the ultimate game time drink with no bubbles. It just drinks like water. Clean, smooth, refreshing, and without those burps. So take it from me. This is the easiest drinking adult beverage I've ever had. Dad Water is now available at Target, Total Wine and Liquor, and Meijer, as well as your favorite local liquor stores. Or you can order online at drinkdadwater.com. Dad Water, tequila, water, natural flavor. We're live. It's the afters. Hit the chat.
I'm not getting close to any bear.
My career high on the court is 28. It is the afters after we were talking about NCAA tournament expansion. I'm glad we're all on the same page there. I do think it's interesting before we get into any questions. I just asked the YouTube chat if they've got any questions, and I'm sure we got a couple. I just saw Michael jumped in with one. We'll get to that in a second. You know, the one thing that's interesting, Mike, is that when you look at it from this standpoint, you're talking about a world where the SEC is going to account for, 11, maybe 12 at larges. Let's just say for the sake of argument, 12. The Big 10 gets 10. That's 22, right? Mm-hmm. The Big 12 gets 7. That's 29. So that leaves 7 at-large bids. 7. The Big East is going to get at least 3 of them, and if Xavier makes it, that's 4. That's do the math.
ACC's going to get 3. ACC's going to get 3 for sure.
So that leaves literally 1 mid-major slot. 1.
That's why I said if it's going to be expanded, I think 4, and it's got to be mid-major or something like that. Let somebody, one of these smaller leagues get an automatic bid or whatever. They get an automatic bid or something, or just get 2, mandatory 2, whoever gets in the championship game is in it. However you do it, I don't care, but that's the only way I'd want to see it expanded.
I mean, it's part of what makes that tournament so great. And I think like there's a lot of great highlights and moments that you see from over the years, but Fanta, you mentioned it earlier in the show, like Florida Gulf Coast, Dunk City in 2013, upsetting Georgetown, beating, I think San Diego State was maybe the other team. But, what St. Peter's did a few years ago, what UMBC did, like it's, and I get like those teams are more, they won their conference and got in, but like the Drakes or even the campaign year with Murray State when they didn't get in and they were freaking 30-2 or whatever it was. And they could have easily gone in there and won 2-3 games in the tournament, didn't get a shot because they were mid-major and there just wasn't enough room for them. So yeah, no, I'm on board with it too. Like if you are going to expand, at least bring in, don't just pull teams from the first 4 out or the next 4 out of the bubble. Like go and find some of the best, the Colorado States, some of the best mid-major teams that really deserve a spot just as much as some of those other high major teams that may have a better resume because they get more cracks at it.
Yep, exactly. But in the numbers game, it's a lot of these bids that they're going to get eaten up, and that. But if we have bid stealers again, there's going to be some teams in Ohio State, right, in Indiana, a Xavier, in Oklahoma. Sorry, you're out of luck.
North Carolina.
I know we got North Carolina. Do you think, RC, that North Carolina could beat Duke Saturday?
I do. Only because it's home and we've seen some crazy things in that rivalry. I think they got a chance. And they're playing well. They're playing with a bigger lineup. They have the guard play that all the switching won't bother them. Will they finish at the rim? I don't, can they bigs hold up on the front line against those guys? No. Am I betting on it? No. Do I expect it? No. But there's a chance. We've seen crazier things. Senior night, as big a rivalry as you have in the sport, we've seen crazier things that happen. So, yes, they have a chance because some of the adjustments that they made, and I think Carolina's playing with a level of desperation going for their 7th win in a row. And they need it. They need it. They're clearly on the bubble. They're one of those teams that if they lose this game, they're forced to go in the tournament. And I don't know if other than beating Duke again, no one else helps them. And I think that they can lose a bid from, like we talked about, from the A-10, from the American, from all these other leagues. You don't want to be on that last 4 line because I think there's going to be 4 teams minimum that's going to steal bids.
Yeah. No, I'm curious too in that matchup, and I know we're a couple days out from it, but I'm curious what they do defensively as well, because in that first matchup, all the pin downs that Duke was setting, they were trying to switch them, and then Sion James would set the pin down, and then when they switch, he's on the top side, and they would just throw bullet passes into the middle of the lane for layup. I mean, it's just, do you switch up the game plan defensively to try to make them a little bit more uncomfortable? Because that's that's where the game kind of blew open, in addition to what they're able to do defensively, just kind of shutting off your water. So I agree. Like what North Carolina's been able to do, like the emergence of Withers just being able to step out, shoot the ball, space. Like space is good for RJ Davis. Space is good for Ian Jackson. Like these, so Withers being able to step out and shoot 46% in the month of February like he has, I think has contributed big time to what they've been able to do offensively. So
Dagan
They
Hughes,
better.
what questions do you have for us, Dagan?
Well, first of all, I know we'll get to the questions in the chat, but this one comes from Randolph Childress, because I talked to you guys earlier today, actually what you wanted to talk about. And Randolph wanted to talk about this, so let's talk about it. You guys are talking about Duke, North Carolina. Obviously, Lucas just took the job with Miami, and he's leaving after Saturday's game. What are your thoughts on him leaving before a possible tournament run?
Go ahead, RC.
I just think it's a thing that it's a sign of the times that we're in. I understand it. My question was, will he regret not being a part of this if they go on a run, right? That we're expecting them to go to San Antonio and potentially win the national championship. And I understand why he had to do it. Like, you got to take the job, but you're thinking about it. And think about the distraction that it is even to Duke. Like in the midst of trying to win, because there's teams getting the tournament and you can have this, but we're talking about, and we all acknowledge, Duke has a legitimate chance of winning the national championship. And to have a coach that's vital in what they do, that's another reason why we talked about the Carolina game. I think about it, the distraction of this and what does that mean with him not being a part of it. But a coach leaving, and I understand he's got to get a staff. He's got so much to get ready for recruiting and everything else because Miami's season ends. If Miami was playing in the ACC tournament, would that affect the decision to move forward this weekend or not, right? Not that they were making an NCAA tournament because they wouldn't be making a change. But if they were even in the ACC tournament, would this happen? It would be my question to you guys.
I mean, like the way I look at it, again, you talked about it is a sign of the times. And the nature of it now is like these administrations, I think, understand that, the window of time, and Miami was uniquely positioned because they had a vacancy, right? So, they could go and get a guy early. And the reason why that's obviously so important is because you look at the transfer portal window, they moved it back a week, but it's still March 24th. And RC, you know this. Like,
yes,
coaches don't just sit there and say, all right, cool, it's midnight on March 24th. Like there is back channeling. There's all sorts of relationships that are being built on the side to position yourself for when those guys officially enter the portal. And so like he had to go early because this is a rebuild. And I think on top of it too, I think if you're looking at Miami kind of had to lock him up and get him to commit and come over because this is a guy that it's been noted. You see it on the Duke website. Hey, he runs their defense. It's one of the best defenses in the country. Like you're telling me that Miami was the only school that was going to go after Lucas and or at least go and make an offer to him. Like they had to act quick, I think, because not other teams were as uniquely positioned as Miami because they had the vacancy, right? Some other teams may move on from their coach after this year, but that's going to be a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, and it may be too late. So he gets in there, he's able to get rolling on what is a rebuild, right? And you can rebuild quickly in this era, but it is a rebuild. So, and as far as like the regret goes, obviously he's going to get a ring if they win it. Like he's going to get all of that. I mean, you obviously want to be a part of it, but I do think that if you win it on April 7th, I mean, you're not saying regret from the standpoint of like, I shouldn't have taken the job. You're saying just waiting until after the season to go to Miami, right?
Yes. No. Just being a part of if it's a championship run. That's all that I'm saying. I mean, I get as a head coach, he had to go. But not often are you in a position that he's in to be a part of a team winning a national championship is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
there's not a lot of precedent. There's not a lot of precedent for it.
No, there's nothing. And I only say that just from that standpoint because he's a young coach, and it's having that will give him more credibility if he was part of something special at Duke. And then even as a staff member, like I said, he does run Duke defense that we say that's elite, and that's a big step, and it's a big part of We don't know what that means. That the personnel doesn't change, but the adjustments, we don't know what responsibility he has defensively, adjustment-wise, and what that may do to them. And will that change, Fanta?
Well, right. Will that change how they play? But could the distraction have been hanging over them? And let's face it, guys, even if he continues on through March Madness, he's spending time every day thinking about how he's building things at Miami. It's a distraction for him. And it could have been a distraction for them. He was hired as the coach. And somebody said this to me last week. They were telling a story about a staff member on their staff. This is years ago.
Right.
He gets a job somewhere at the end of the season. And he's yet to tell the staff, but the head coach finds out about it.
Oof.
He goes into the office. He goes in the office. The head coach, about an hour before he goes in, the head coach calls one of his other assistants and says, "Hey, you know those recruiting files in that back cabinet? Can you get them all out and put them in your car? We'll talk about it tomorrow." 30 minutes goes by. The assistant coach comes in and starts looking in the cabinet. And he turns to the other assistant and he goes, "Hey man, where's those recruiting files at?" The guy goes, "I don't know." I'm not at all suggesting that Jay Lucas is much smarter than that to ever do that.
So you're saying he won't take the Boozer twins with him in Miami is what you're saying?
But you know what it is, RC? Well, the longer he stays at Duke, the more conversations he has with the Boozer twins in person at the NCAA tournament. I'm just saying.
I'm picking on you with that. I know.
What I'm trying to say is it was the elephant in the room. Sometimes you just got to acknowledge it and move on. Jay's been a rich part of their success. It's in the portal era. I'm sorry. If you're a program trying to hire a coach, you better have him hired by March 24th.
Shit, before then.
He had to. Yeah, he had
he had to go.
He had to go. Yeah, think about it. Like, just like from a coaching standpoint, I would be sitting there, like, even if I was in the tournament and we're making a run and we go deeper and deeper into the tournament, it would be hard to enjoy that because the success you're having at Duke and the further along you go with Duke is setting you back at Miami. So it's like,
but guys, no. Let's be clear. This has happened every year in the NCAA tournament. And we know behind the scenes how many times these coaches know they're leaving to go to another job. They know this. And they'll just finish the job. You got head coaches right now knowing that they're leaving to go to another job. There's already we know this behind the scenes. There's been jobs that have been discussed. There's so many open jobs. There's no way in the hell they're just sitting around going, that's malpractice if you're not talking to current coaches. Now they may not have leaked it. They may not have done this. And that's what I'm saying. Will this open up a precedent where teams will just be like, hey, I'm agreeing to go over here and take this job. I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. Because we're going to have this scenario several times now with the expansion of these conference tournaments and then teams not being able to go. So if you're one of those bottom 3 or 4 teams, depending on your conference, and you can't get in the tournament and that job is available, deuces, I'm out. It could be a head coach for that matter.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
It could be a head coach, and I can say, yo, Fanta, I'm leaving. You're taking this over. Good luck to you. I wish y'all the best. I'm out.
Right. Dagan, what do you got?
All right, fellas. Let's do some rapid-fire questions here. Let's go quick on these. Kyle wants to know, does Florida have the last 1 seed locked up?
I think they do.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, with the wins that they've had now recently and the win over Auburn, when you look at the different
at Auburn, at Bama, I mean,
yeah, their consensus top 4 in the metrics.
For me, they are.
They are.
Yeah.
They're a 1 seed, man. Yeah, I think it's pretty point blank.
Because like, what's the competition? It's Bama and Tennessee, right?
Bama, Tennessee. That's
Houston.
Houston's in. I think Houston's at 1 seed. Yeah.
Houston's already on the 1 line. So you're going to have Auburn, Duke, Houston, and I think it's Florida because Florida's got the best wins.
I think it's Florida too.
I think the ones are pretty solidified at this point. Like because Florida's going to get a bye.
Can someone win their
double bye.
conference tournament and take it? Can someone win their conference tournament and like if Tennessee wins the conference tournament, can they
Bama
get it?
or
You get what I'm
Tennessee
saying?
wins the conference tournament?
If Iowa State or
Yeah.
somebody, I don't think Iowa State was that, but if Texas Tech wins the Big 12, can they get the number one?
I don't think so because they have a quad 3 loss.
Right.
If I had to say, honestly, one of the interesting things is what if Michigan State was 29-5 and won the Big Ten tournament? Like, I mean, they'd have more of a case than some of the others. I'm just saying. Like, I don't think they will.
Right.
But could they be the top 2 or the second 2 seed?
I always wonder too. With the way the Big Ten tournament championship is played, it ends at 5:15. It's and then the selection show. Like, what does the committee have a contingency plan in case Michigan State?
But
ends
that's
up
the way.
winning
No,
it?
because that's the way it's always been. That's excuse me. That's the.
But
way
that's
it's
what I'm
always
saying.
been.
If they win that one and you're on that fringe of 2-1,
Yeah, they won't be though.
what do they do there?
They're probably 2. I just thought about it. The early top 6 team reveal. Michigan State wasn't in. Can you believe that? They weren't in the top 16 reveal. That's unfathomable.
Was that like 3 weeks ago?
That's unfathomable for a 25-5 team now. All right, Dagan, go ahead.
All right. Michael wants to know, can Clemson end up in San Antonio with the right bracket?
Sure they could.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean,
Obviously, you
RC
said
was-
earlier, like Duke. If Duke does not win the ACC tournament, I think Clemson will. Like, I think it's going to be really hard for someone to take it out of the grasp of those top 2.
They're going to
They're
be
just so
a tough office.
experienced, man.
Yeah. And they're balanced. They got depth.
Yeah. Locken's been awesome, man. Like he's been
Locken and
great for them.
Chauncey Wiggins, if he
Shep.
can
And Wiggins, Wiggins been awesome.
can play well, that elevates them to a different level. Their guards defend, they make shots. They got Chase Hunter, man. They're going to be a tough out. I can see an Elite 8 run at a chance to San Antonio with them.
Jaden Zachary, TO's Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC over Cooper Flagg. Read and weep.
Man, that's a ridiculous take. Come on.
Yeah, that's so Clemson of him. That's so Clemson.
That was very Clemson of him. Go ahead, Dagan.
Josh wants to know which conference breaks their championship drought this year. I said that. Hold on. Let me reread that. That. Josh wants to know which conference breaks their championship drought this year, the Big Ten or the SEC?
I mean, it would be if it's anyone, it's the SEC.
Yeah.
As a Big Ten guy, I'm cool. Like, I just want a Big Ten team to make the Final Four. Like, keep getting bites at the apple. Keep getting bites at the apple. Get to the Final Four. Maybe some crazy shit happens.
Who asked that question? What was his name? Did he just start? Josh, I love you, but did you just start watching this week? The SEC's been the best. It's been the best conference we've ever seen. Josh, see me in my office tomorrow. Next question.
That's all I have in the chat.
I saw one that asked what our favorite airport flight snack
I missed that
is.
one. I must have missed that one. Go ahead.
Our favorite flight snack.
Hmm.
All right. I've got one. You know what I've fallen in love with? But I can only eat them like once in a blue moon. I don't eat them. I can't do it more than. I have fallen in love with the Nerd gummy clusters. That is an addicting airport. You seen these things? No? RC looks very confused.
I've seen
what
them.
I'm talking. You don't know what I'm talking about.
No. I'm asking, are you? I can tell you what.
I thought it was like in flight they hand you snack. Like, what is your favorite one of those? I didn't know you were going to Hudson News and getting the whole.
Yeah,
I
thought Fanta was actually Mike. I thought Fanta was actually popping the gummy so he could take a flight as he was flying to wherever he was going. Is what I thought he was talking about. That's why I was looking at him kind of sideways, like, damn, Fanta getting high. He trying to get some sleep on the flight. My bad, the
Really?
nerds. Then you should have said nerds, Fanta. You said gummies, dude. Why would I think of the nerds?
I've never had a gummy in my life, and I'm not going to start today. Oh, boy. By the way, elite drop-in of Hudson News. It's the first time I've ever, but it's the most airport drop. There's like, think about this. Think about this.
Like, yeah, what else do you think? I mean, you going to Envision to get some new headphones?
It's true, because Hudson News, they don't exist anywhere else but the airport. Like, you don't drive down the street and see a Hudson News. I'd like to know who founded that store, how the naming rights got picked there. Like, need to know more about Hudson News.
Presumably, Mr. Hudson was who founded that store. But I will also say, I mean, cornering that market, it's pretty smart. I mean, when I thought snacks, I could only think of Hudson News. This has now turned into a Hudson News promotion, but yeah, they're doing it. Every airport.
Go ahead, Dagan.
I've got one final thing for you guys, because the chat had just as much fun doing the game as you guys did. I have one team I didn't use, so we're gonna do our final blind resume.
Oh,
let's go.
Got one more.
Let's go.
Here we go.
You guys go.
Play it. Here we go. All right, Duke Final Four 2022. This is a really good team. Baylor in 2012, Elite 8. Purdue in 2010, Sweet 16. Man, the Illinois team. I gotta go back here.
I'll shoot from the hip here. I think it's Alabama.
That was Etwan Moore. That was Robbie Hummel and Jawan Johnson. Wow. You think it's Alabama?
Yeah, I do.
Any hints? Dagan?
No, you guys got two right. No more hints.
Oh, he's mad because we got.
Wait.
Hold on. See, the thing that's tripping me up is that it's the resume. Like, I'm thinking like.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking like metric, like
so
my mind when
explain,
I saw Illinois 20.
A little bit what that
go
means.
ahead.
So a resume
Yeah,
on Torvik, it takes into account the net, their resume, their wins above bubble, ELO, which I got to be honest, I'm not really sure what that means, and their power rating, as well as the seeds of the other resumes. So there's like, it's not just like, it's a lot of different things put into these.
I think he's trying to stump us. I think he's trying to fool us here, big time.
He's broken my ankles 3 times.
Can you say it again? Show us one more time.
So do you know whose metrics check out all over LaTulip and RC? Gonzaga.
No.
I mean, it better not be. But there's a part of me. I mean, you think Alabama? You think? What about Purdue? No.
Fanta, Gonzaga doesn't fall in the top 5 seed range.
Oh,
that's still class.
What a lot of these teams have in common is good offense and defense. So that's like where I was going. Where that's why I went to Bama. I mean, Illinois last year was like 2nd ranked offense, 80 ranked defense. That Duke team was at 22 was 1st offense, 50th defense. Like there's a disparity there. So I'm trying to think. We already did Kentucky because Kentucky would be an easy one to go to on that too. Like, who are some other teams that have that disparity from their offense to their defense? Is what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm taking us off the path. I don't know. I'm trying to make this team think.
Take some final guesses. Go ahead, LaTulip.
No, I'll stick with. God, it might be Wisconsin too, but I'll stick with Bama.
Okay, because of a Matt Painter team. I was between Arizona and Purdue, so I will go Purdue.
It's a good guess.
UConn.
Oh my gosh, show it.
Those are 2 really.
Oh my God! So close. But this is why this game's so good. And also, do you know what also it says about that game? Okay. Like, last take here. Okay. I hate when people do, like, I love this game, Dagan. You're different, Dagan. You did the right thing with this game. Here's what I don't love. I don't love when like a team makes the Final Four and then like I'm picking on our founder. The Robs of the world hop on the computer and they're like, let me input this team compared to everybody else. Guys, this is why they're a Final Four team. Like, no, they're an effing Final Four team because, yes, they stuck to they found something during the big dance that's in addition to who they were. Something else happened. And 2, they played 4 good games in a row. Like, we could try to find comparables to teams. The thing about this game is there were probably some first weekend exit teams that were compared to this Wisconsin team. And we would have been just as shocked the other way. My point is, there's a million ways you could justify something. A million.
Yeah. Well, let me say this too, like broader point about just the Final Four in general. Like you do need, I don't want to say like luck. Luck probably is the wrong word, but I just think back to like the butterfly effect of Dusty May and FAU. If Kendrick Davis from Memphis breaks the press even once on the last 3 possessions of that game, there is no FAU run. Is Dusty May at Michigan? And like they had the last 5 seconds there, Nick Boyd gets that layup and then they advance and then Purdue loses to FDU. Like if Purdue gets past FDU, does Purdue say, oh my God, okay, we dodged a bullet, lock in FAU second round, and then none of this is a thing? That's why I love this tournament, because you just don't know what the hell is going to happen.
No, you don't. And I agree with you, Fanta. Rob's an idiot. And we all agree to that.
But you know what? You know what it is, RC? This is RC. I said, and we've gone way over, but every coach this time of year, the best question you ask a coach that I think you can ask a coach, like we know these teams. RC, you do games. We've been doing games all year. Yep. I asked the coach, who is someone who's been practicing well the last week that you might insert in a certain moment, or you think, like Shaka Smart always says this guy's doing it from the first cup. This guy's doing it from the second cup, meaning he's our 2. He's our 3. He told me, he goes, the key to sometimes making a tournament run is a guy who's been your 5th or 6th plays like a 2 or 3 for 2 weeks.
Right.
You still got to find. Yeah.
I can attest to that. We played. I kind of RC. I want to ask you before I get into this. What's your favorite NCAA tournament moment?
Mine was just a disappointment. I thought I just remember Tony Rutland's shot rallying out against Oklahoma State for the Elite Eight game was just like, damn. That those are the moments. It's like after a while, you remember the opportunities you had and you the ones you missed. Right, you start going like as many shots that I'd taken late in the game. I passed that one, and I did, and it was the right play. You wonder things like that. Like that's kind of where I am with it on some of the teams. I wonder what we would have been. We were a preseason Final Four team, and I tore my ACL. You know, from a team, we were a Sweet 16 team, was returning everybody, and then I tear my ACL. So you wonder stuff like that, like the injuries are part of it. So for me, it's always what if, because I've played on some really talented teams that could make runs, Final Four runs in tournament. We were a 1 seed. And like you said, it's just a guy stepping up, making a play. I think style is one of those things too. We played in that style where we were like defensive oriented and weren't a ton of possessions. So teams like that, to me, you're prone for upset when you're in that type of style too. So that's why I was saying when we talk about these defensive teams, you know, you can be a good defensive team, but there are good defensive teams that play with a little bit more pace, that stretch the game out a little bit. That gives them a chance. So if someone's having a day, they don't get upset.
And Fanta, you talked about it, like a guy stepping up that was maybe your 5th or 6th guy that becomes your 2nd or 3rd. So my freshman year, we were the 7 seed, beat Colorado in the first round. It was like Dinwiddie and Andre Roberson, and it was Josh Scott. Like it was a good team. Askia Booker. Second round, we played to get to the Sweet 16. We played Miami, and this was Shane Larkin. Like they were going crazy that year.
They were good.
So the game plan was to blitz Shane Larkin, really corral him. We just wanted the ball out of his hands. If they throw it back, we'll deal with it if they get all the way to the weak side and they're taking threes from the weak side. And who was that guy? It was Ryan Brown. And Ryan Brown was a 5-point per game guy for Miami. We say if Ryan Brown makes shots, we'll tip our cap. Ryan Brown hit 6 threes in that game. So it's just and that was pretty much it. And in addition to that, the reason why we have these long reviews at the end of the game is because of that exact game. They implemented the under 2-minute review because we got absolutely screwed by a call. The ball was off Kenny Kaji, knocked out of bounds. Everybody in the arena saw it. Was no you didn't go to the monitor back then, and they overturned it. Larkin comes down, hits a step back 3. We go home. So it's just And I will also say one of my favorite memories. So when we played Miami in that game, the game before was Minnesota versus Florida, and all the Minnesota and Florida fans stuck around. And so we had Minnesota was rooting for us because we were a Big Ten team. Florida was rooting for us because they don't like Miami. And then we had our fan base. So we had like 75% of that arena cheering for us, and we just came up short. It was brutal. So, yeah, you do remember the disappointment more than you probably – because only one team wins that freaking tournament.
Yeah. It's always what –
So true. Quick toast of the night. I'm going to make it easy. Quinnipiac Bobcats, Tom Pecora, one of the good guys. They won the MAC regular season championship tonight. Congratulations to Quinnipiac. They've never been to the NCAA tournament. I'd love to see them go.
To my favorite, Izzo. Got to give it up to Izzo. Regular season championship.
I think it's easy there. Mike.
Yeah, I'm going with one of my former head coaches, Scott Nagy, gets a win for Southern Illinois tonight to open up Arch Madness, and we'll see if they can. You talked about Missouri Valley. We'll see if they can
great guy too.
Do the unthinkable.
He's a great
awesome.
Coach too.
He's the best, man.
Awesome guy.
Love Scott.
Arch Madness never fails, and that championship game on Sunday afternoon on CBS this Sunday is an elite Champ Week time slot. And Kevin Harlan normally always does the game, and it is absurd. So I already can't wait for that. And will we see Drake pull it off? Will we see Drake getting that large maybe still? I mean, they've had an unbelievable year. Hey, guys, we're just getting started. We're back tomorrow night, 11 Eastern time. This is so damn fun. For Mike, RC, Dagan Hughes with an elite game, Trevor Valise, I'm John Fanta.